Welcome. Welcome back. My name is Melissa Brace, and I'm here in Sedona, Arizona at my offices at Sedona Soul Sisters. Today we're going to do a channeling. We're going to talk to Moses. And over the last couple of months, during readings, I've been like seeing Moses, and I think, that's weird. Why would that happen? And it just was, I kept questioning myself and going, why would what? And so I was kind of finally nudged to do a channeling with Moses. And we're going to talk about the energies going on, the frequencies, and a little bit from Moses. So we'll get started, okay? Welcome, he says. Thank you for letting me speak. He says, in these times, that we know are changing, shifting, growing, different, ascension, awakenings. He's saying, in these times, no matter what we call them, there's the purpose, and it's almost like the cleansing, the earth cleansing, the universal cleansing is for freedom. And he says, in the higher energies, I want to talk about that a little bit because in the higher energies, consciousness is higher. They don't know things like enslavement and suffering and pain. And he says, but on earth, it's been building and building and building with the lower energies, the dense energies, the matrix, the inverted matrix system, the darker energies. He's saying that humans have always had to argue, fight distortion, fight the darkness. And he says, in these times, I would like us all to know that we are ascending and awakening and rising up in frequencies to that heavenly space. And he says, on earth, the human beings. And he says, it's something I want to share with you because just as the story of Moses leading his people out of enslavement and bondage, many years, many generations of bondage and slavery, into the promised land, the land of milk and honey. And he says, these are the times that we're in, and that is where we are finding ourselves. And each one of us, he says, human beings are learning and recognizing their true sixth senses, the extra elements that were unseen, and being reconnected to source, their higher selves, their souls. And that is an amazing thing. He says, this is what we're here for. And he says, there's a story I want to tell you. So we'll go over my story in the Bible. And he says there are many things happening as Christ consciousness. Christ is balancing the divine masculine and feminine, and everything is balancing in mass consciousness. So is the freedom from all of the bondages becoming reality. And he says in the higher realms, in the heavens, they again don't know bondage or slavery, but they know that we have, and we do. And they're saying it's like love won, God won, and we are coming into a new era. And some of us call it the golden era, or the age of Aquarius, or peace on earth time. And he's saying, I just want to teach you what it's like to become free and from bondage and slavery, because none of us know how to navigate through that. We've never felt that before. And he says, many people on the earth and in the heavens are clearing away those cords, chains, yokes, ties from their lives, from their energy fields. And he says all of us can can know from this perspective that each one of us have um, some attachments, some wounded pieces in our energy fields, our souls, our spirits, our layers. And he says, so as we, each one of us, clear over these years coming out of um, slavery, that we will learn how to navigate and build solid foundations and grow in the higher frequencies. So I also call it New Earth. And he says, yes. So into the promised land. And so for generations and generations and generations, that's all we've been working for, toward. Um, and he says, I want to tell you in my story because it is similar for each one of you in your own ways. And you don't have to be religious, and you don't have to be biblical, and you don't have to be anything like anyone else or have any perceptions like anyone else. He says, but this will help. And he says, the reason you've been seeing me in readings is because each person that you're talking to, totally different people, completely different circumstances, completely different backgrounds and views and ideas and ideals, he says, are coming into freedom in their own right. And it has always been your right to be whole, to come home. And he says, so we're going to talk about that a little bit today. And when he was seeing things, he says, celestial beings or phenomenon, when God came to talk to him, he says, in the story of Moses in the Bible, he says, you know, the bad people, we were always enslaved, and we didn't know any different of, you know, there were guards and the people that were keeping us enslaved. We were just lesser beings. And he says, so humanity has been tricked into thinking that they're not smart, they're not worth it, they're lesser beings than the controllers. And he says, those days are falling. It's almost like falling like dominoes over the last years. And he says, there's more. And he says that this is a time where we will be able to learn together how to make every part of our lives the land of milk and honey, heaven on earth. And he says, so as each person clears away the energy systems and the wounds and the pains in the past and the past lives, we are completing cycles, he says. And we are all with a goal of freedom to come home in ourselves, to have peace and wholeness and fulfillment. And he says, you might not understand this, but the heavens are different dimensions and vibrating at different frequencies. And he says that heaven is not far away, so our loved ones, our past lives, many things are all actually in alignment. And he says that's becoming more so. Timelines coming together and people doing their inner work and balancing. And he says this is a clarion call to your freedom. And he says when God came to talk to him, he says, no, really, God, I'm not the popular guy. Like I don't know anything. You should talk to my brother. Everyone thinks he's smart. They like him. and Moses said, yeah, my brother Aaron. They like him. People like him. He's good. He's smart. I don't know what you're talking about. Like I'm not leading anyone to the promised land. And he says there goes that piece of you never know who will walk past and be an angel or a being of light, whether they look pretty or what you expect or not. And he said, and so God said to Moses, yeah, you're the one. Yeah, you're the one. You're just right. And he taught him to connect. And what he was doing was channeling as he went on Mount Sinai and had conversations with God in the light, moved through him. Like we call it reading the light, running the light. And He says that is what all of humanity is learning how to do, is connect with their higher selves, with God, source, creator, and hearing inside inside of each one of us in our own ways, um, and experiencing God in different ways. And he says that is what is waking up for all of humanity. So we'll find that we have abilities and senses. Our senses are stronger, and our gifts are awakening. And he says in the story that God taught him and gave him the laws of the universe, the 10 Commandments. And he says, so maybe people have not been really all that good at following the laws of the universe. He says, but now it's time to learn and to make them simple. And he says, as we were, the enslaved people, his people, were just walking along, being enslaved. They didn't get the good stuff. They didn't get the good clothes. They didn't get the good food, and they were treated, badly sometimes, right? And he says, so when God says, no, you're equal, and taught him, it's almost like divine magic. And it was time for him to be finally just have enough of it and hit the staff against the ground. Well, at least that's how it was in the movies with Charlton Heston. And the divine magic of the universe, the light, parted the seas and let the people out of the entrapped, bondage, oppressed, enslaved place. And they'd never done this before, so they kind of went, what? And Moses said, onward to the land of milk and honey, where we are free. And he says each one of you is being activated in different ways inside. That it's almost that divine magic, that divine clarion call from God, saying, hey, you're important. You're a precious child of God. No matter where you are, no matter how you grew up, no matter how much pain you've been in, it's your time to become free. And so, with God's guidance and direction and connection, we are all learning how to become free in this awakening, in this ascension time, and to be balanced and whole in divine order in these times means to be in your space in heaven on earth, home. And he says, so we're each being taught this in different ways, and clearing all the distortions in the darkness, what the darkness has done to all of us. And he says, we're kind of in that phase where he says, he's showing me Shawshank. I really do love that movie. He's showing me Shawshank Redemption, the movie, which is pretty old. And there's a part where Morgan Freeman he's the black guy back in I think it's the 40s or the 50s. So he wasn't the popular guy. And he's been in prison for a really long time, like decades. And it's like he comes up and he's free. He's ready to, and he finds a way to get a job, and he sacks groceries at the grocery store. And so he's, after all the years of being imprisoned, there's a part in this movie that he was at work, and it was so cool because I was like, I wonder how we've all felt this way in some capacity, in some way, where we doubt and we don't know what to do. We don't know how to do this. All of us have felt that in our lives at some point. And in the movie, he's sacking groceries. He's very quiet. He doesn't make eye contact with anyone because he's like the black guy out of prison, right? And so he raises his hand and he says, Can I go to the restroom? He asks his boss. Can I go to the restroom? Can I go to the bathroom? And the guy goes, you don't have to ask me to go to the bathroom. Go ahead. You never ever have to ask me. You're free to go to your own bathroom. moment, take a break. And it hit him. You could see it in the character's face, like, oh, I'm learning how to be free. And so Moses is bringing us this story and reminders of kind of how it went down in the Bible, and how the story goes for us as mass consciousness, as human beings, to realize we might break through some barriers in the next weeks, months, years, where we learn that we don't have to ask permission to be ourselves, to be free in many ways. And this is hard. Like it's something we're going to have to learn together as we step up the ladder, up the stairway to heaven on earth. And so we will all learn together what it means to be free, and how we free ourselves from those pieces that are stuck in all of us, imprinted in us. The bondage pieces, the yokes, the chains, the attachments of the past. And as we keep clearing, we'll become more healthy and whole, and know what to do and how to help each other. So Moses has, in the last months, which I just think is slightly weird, even for a person who, lives life in a slightly weird way anyway, perspective all of her life. I kept thinking, why is Moses showing up? That's weird in my readings. And then it hit me. And I just felt that Moses energy. And he said, and I remember it was the year Princess Diana died, because I was in a class. I was taking a class then when she passed. So I remember also Moses showing up then saying, hey, you're on the right track. All of those dreams, all of the promises inside of your heart that you have always wanted will come true. And most of them have not yet. So that's many years ago. But he's saying he's coming back around in a visitation, just like he did all those years ago, to say all of humanity is waking up to these new steps in our freedom. And he says, we will learn together how to build the solid foundations and treat each other better. And it's almost like leave judgment behind, and leave the pains and the sufferings behind, step by step. So all imprinted in all of our energies, different things, pains, illnesses, things that we did not choose or choose consciously. And so the heavens are welcoming us into the heavens as we are still in body over these next weeks, months, and years in freedom. And we will all learn how to do this. And he's saying, remember to hear inside in different ways. Remember to hear inside. God speaks to you and is always with you. He says prayer always makes a difference. Still, always will, always has. Meditation, prayer, connection with the light, whatever you call it, always makes a difference. He says onward. Onward, free people, into freedom. I pulled a card. I have a deck called Masters, Mystics, and Saints. And I pulled a card today for, I don't know, just because. And I haven't read it yet. It's magnesite. It's about a crystal for each. Oh, wow, this is perfect. Magnesite. The saint or mystic is Melchizedek. And Moses also wants to know this. And kind of like, it's almost like he's saying, repeat after me. I chose this card for this. I am an amazing being of light. I claim my purpose as a light worker. It is easy for me to see things from a higher perspective. I confidently embrace the role of being a wise person. How could that get any better? And the other side is the crystal that I am not familiar with. And it says, are you able to integrate heaven and earth into your current life experience? Are you grounded and aware of your divine direction and connection? Now is the time to absorb the blessing of being human while still embracing your union with the divine. You are a child of the universe and are aligned with the spiritual realm. So Moses is also saying, listen to your soul, you'll know the truth, and know that you are always, always, always with the divine. So Moses says, welcome, welcome to the awakening. Welcome to your freedom. Thanks, guys. And thank you to Moses. And hope that was fun. And I will see you all soon.